Now you're watching all of us here on YouTube and you're trying to determine what you can do in your home. And I always write on some of my favorite YouTubers videos, all right, goals, yes, because that's what I want to do. But when I come out of my office and I'm looking at my space, it doesn't fit. And I basically take nuggets from it to modify it in my home. The first thing is, don't fight how your entryway is made. I know, you know exactly what I'm saying, don't you? You know, that's when you do what I did in the past. I put a cabinet out here. I've had large lamps out here, and I was going against the grain. For those of us who sew, you're going against the grain. And what happens is you limit your walkway, you limit your space, and then you're turning to the side to get past your stuff because you are determined to have all the basic things that everybody else has in there for you. They got a mirror, they've got a cabinet, they've got large plants. That's their house. But what about your house? Your house is designed completely different. You might not even have a foyer, just the hallway. You might have a narrow entrance. So the only thing you can do is take your decorations to the wall. I was forced to do that in our home, and I'm okay with that because it pushed me outside of my comfort zone. So mirrors, plants, a place to sit, a surface like a table, and definitely a rug. Keep that in mind. I recommend that everyone have some sort of rug at the doorway because you need to kick the dust off your feet. You know what I mean? Okay, I did a little church thing there. But you need to kick the dust off your feet and not bring all of that debris or whatever it may be on your shoes or whatever you've worn inside the house. So we're jumping right into our DIY. We're building large canvases for the foyer. When you've got tall ceilings, that means you've got long walls. So let's work with those. The canvases were very easy to build. I purchased 1x2 boards from Lowe's. They're like $3 a board, and I think they're about 5 feet long. And you want to cut them the length that you want your canvases. You want to get your cross boards to go at the top and the bottom, and a third one for the middle of the board. And make sure they're all the same size. If you notice, I'm cutting 2 boards at the same time. That way I can ensure that they're all the same size. I ordered my canvas from Amazon online. I'll have a link in the description box below. To quickly assemble the frame, I used some construction adhesive as well as my nail gun. Now, once the frames were assembled, I then added the canvas, and you begin by rolling the canvas all the way out and then placing the frame on top and cut the edges. And you want to cut about 6 inches away from the frame, okay? That way when you fold it onto the frame, you'll have plenty of room to stretch the canvas and for it to stretch back. You know, it will resist a little bit, so just watch yourself on that. Now, since I'm using like 1x2
boards, I decided to use the flat corner braces. And the reason why is because I would have more room for the screw to go into the board. I was afraid that if I went in the other direction that it might crack the wood coming from the inside, if you know what I mean for those of you who do construction. But there was a reason why I used the flat corner braces. So you place your canvas down first, place your frame on top of it, and try to cut your canvas about 6 inches from the edge of the frame, because that way you'll have plenty of coverage to wrap around the edges of the frame. You don't want to have too much, but remember, you just want to be able to pull it tautly all the way around, because there's nothing worse than a sagging canvas, and any indentation that hits it is going to show. So you want to pull that canvas nice and snug. I find it much easier to staple on one side and then do the other side. In other words, you start in the center on one side and go all the way down, and then start back at the center and go all the way up. Then go completely to the opposite side of the frame and do the same thing, because that way you're pulling and stretching the canvas at the same time. I love that idea. I hope you'll give that a try. I pre-drilled the holes because I was going to add D-rings to the back, and I did in a different form. But I also added picture hanging wire. That way, if they weren't even, then I could just tighten up the wire versus, removing the hardware from the wall.
The foyer, your entryway, whatever you want to call it, it's the first impression you make about your home. It took me a while to really grasp that, because a lot of us use our garage door and we come in from the garage and that's basically it. And unless someone comes to visit us, that's when we think about the foyer. So things kind of get shoved there and pushed over out of the way because that's the door that's least likely to be used. Let's look at some of the basics around entryways. We really might want to consider thinking about them, whether they're being used on a regular basis or not.
Even though we have high ceilings, I still want to keep this area very light. I don't want those walls to close in when you come in the door as if you've entered a cave. So I'm using very bright colors. I've mixed the paint until I achieve the shade of blue that I want. I placed on my first base coat. And then I whitewashed it with additional white paint and pearl paint, which is like a finish, until I achieve sort of a raw silk linen look on the canvas. What I have found is that it is best to roll toward the center every single time on this leaf. Just roll in the same direction. So that way I didn't have a lot of excess paint ending up in one spot. And I really did like that. So I love it. This was the most beautiful stencil that I have ever seen. And it's in my house. So we've waited 3 days for the canvas to dry, fully stretch out, and I'm excited and ready to move on. And feel how tight it is. Now I don't want to apply pressure with the stencil and leave indentations, so I am using some beach towels underneath the canvas, and it's almost like they're a little spongy, but they are not. So it really worked out very well. My stencil is from Etsy. I'll put the link in the description box. I'm using these stencil brushes and rollers here. Got those from Hobby Lobby. Paper plates, you'll need those to kind of roll your rollers on to make sure you don't have a lot of excess paint. Painter's tape, paint, and paper towels. I did a few test runs with various kinds of paints to see what I liked on this blue canvas. And this is the one I ended up with, guys. It is that pearl finish. For some reason, I keep coming back to this. When you like what you like, you consistently use it. So it looked a little grayish, and I was happy with that. I tried this sapphire blue, which turned a little bluish black on the canvas, but it is a beautiful color. I'll have to use it someplace else. I also ordered 2 more containers of it on Amazon. This blue is absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous. I have future plans for that as well, but not this project. So the goals got a little too mustard, and I decided to just stay away from those altogether. Came back with the pearl, which gave me the finish that I want. So that's what we're working with today. I'm using 2 beach towels under the canvas near that center bracket in the very center so that the canvas doesn't sink down at all. And this worked out beautifully. I've got my paper plates handy, and I'm going to mix up the paint. No, I'm going to stir the paint, not mix it. It's already mixed, and it's very thick. I really love that about this finishing paint. Put a little bit on my paper plate and roll it to the point that it almost feels like it's about to run out of paint. If you put too much paint on your plate and roll it and then go directly to your canvas, you're going to have bleeding. And I did that in several instances. This is the first time I had done this project. So you know what? You do and you learn. You learn and you do. I applied 3 applications of paint in the same direction every time. So I'd start from the outside and work my way in toward the stem of the leaf. To give you a sense of how tall or how big that stencil is, the canvas is actually 5.5 feet tall. So I'm able to get 4 of those large leaves on that canvas. Now this larger canvas here, it is 25 inches wide. The others, they are 17 inches wide. Now let me talk to you about something else here that has to do with the placement of these panels on the wall. That light switch and that electrical outlet, they're the reasons why I have this arrangement where the large one is going to be on the left and the 2 smaller ones are going to be to the right. Normally you'd have the big one in the middle and they would be flanked by the smaller ones, but the light switch and the outlet, that really put a wrench in my plans, and I've been dealing with that for a while. So someday I'll have an electrician come out and correct that, because I know that that light switch should be further to the right. I don't know why it's there, but either way, I just have to work around it now. And in the future, I can go ahead and have this large panel flanked by the smaller 2. So I'm going to paint them strategically so that this lines up. You want to wash your stencil in between use because the paint can build up on it and it can also make a mess on your canvas. So wash them gently and dry them off and then get back going again. So you see here clearly how I want the layout to be in the future. And I love this. This is absolutely stunning. And I did have to flip the stencil on the back side because I wanted those stems to kind of be in opposite direction, as if the leaves were falling off of a tree. So I think this turned out really, really pretty, and I think the pearl really represented, with its iridescent vibe, a little silver, which is what I was going for. I love this. It looks so pretty. For those of you who love to decorate with black and white, a black canvas with the white pearl leaves or a white gloss paint as your leaf would be stunning. Stunning, or either silver. It would just be amazing. So I would hope someone who loves black and white will give this a try. I love my subscribers who say they miss the old Catherine who gave them lots of details so that they could learn. Now, let's just get started. First of all, I'm going to put these topiaries on opposite sides of the door. I realize they are too big. If you are building a home and you want double doors or you want tall, big doors, please request from your builder 2 additional feet on opposite sides of the door. That way you can flank them with plants or furniture or seating or whatever you would like to have in the foyer. Now, I cannot add a bench or a console table here unless it's really super narrow for the console table, because it's going to stick out. I've had the cabinet that's in the dining room in the foyer for a long time, and I noticed that it would get shifted around, or either my guys returning to the side to get past it. That's not the way you want to function in your home. You shouldn't be having to turn to the side to get past any furniture. That just means you need to move that piece out of the way. And then the other thing is lighting. I would like to have a light above the panels. That's going to substitute for having a lamp on a console table, which I do not have out here. The other thing is a rug. We're going to go from the rectangular rug in the future to a round rug, and I've already gotten my measurements. So I'm having a rug, I'm adding lighting, and there is no seating. If you must sit down briefly, you can hop over to that bench that's in the dining room. So all of the factors are being considered. Okay, so we all learned something about my home.
So what I was guilty of is trying to double dip. I wanted the foyer to have a mudroom effect. I wanted it to have a vanity effect. I wanted all of that in one spot, and there was no need because there's a bathroom right there. Here's a coat closet right here. So I have a little faux mudroom effect right here next to the coat closet door. And there are usually several pairs of shoes here that my husband just kicks off, and that's fine. But just to give you an idea, because we are guilty of that, duplicating spaces all over our home when we could just use the space for what it was designed to be used for. And if we're going to modify it, then make sure we just take it over for that purpose and then celebrate the space. So this is it.
My red jacket is hung on a Dollar Tree hook. I'm just using surface protectors on it to keep it from scratching up the door. But this is a win-win. So yes, it gives me a small scale mud room. And this is perfect for those rainy days and you have guests coming over. Yeah, I'm set with the umbrella holder and I've got a place to hang a wet coat. This is a DIY umbrella holder using a flower pot, and I will link that video here. So this is a good place for it, and of course I do move it closer to the door, like it's gonna rain all weekend long and I know we'll be going out to check the mail, etc. So yeah, this was an easy DIY. And here is our reveal. Aren't they beautiful? I absolutely love them. I'm so thankful to be able to complete this project. And like I said earlier, further details will be on my blog, so you'll be able to see all of the things that I use. And so give me until Wednesday to get that post up. I have just adopted the system of posting to the blog on Wednesday. This is just so classy and so beautiful to me. And I love how liberating the foyer is. You know, I'm able to come down the steps and move through the foyer. I've watched my husband and son, they don't have to turn to the side to walk past a cabinet or a table, so we can just move freely throughout the foyer. And that is the curio cabinet in the dining room that was once in the foyer. So yeah, really free up your spaces and you will see just how beautiful they truly are. And yeah, we'll be looking for a rug, but I'm in no rush. The one we have is just fine. And I do want to install a portrait or picture light, just one long one, and it's about 18 inches, the one that I'm looking for in the very center of that wall.
That's it for me, guys. I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. I hope you'll take some things into consideration. And if not, come back again until you get something. That's the way I can say it to you, to invite you to be a subscriber to this channel. If you are not a subscriber, please consider doing so today and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. Thanks a lot for watching. And as always, stay in prayer and stay creative.